Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this live webinar, which is gonna be 30 minutes full of insights and hopefully very useful information for you to gain clarity and to start building a strategy and to understand which habits will be useful for your career growth. This is a fantastic topic, and I will try to give you as much information as I can in this session, but there will be a lot more that we can explore together going forward. So let's dive in. My name is Sabine. Many of you will have been in touch with me already. Some of you know me personally. Just for those of you who don't know me yet, I am originally from Germany. I am based now in Dubai for about 3.5 years. And I have spent about 15 years building up and improving HR processes in organizations. And one thing that I have been speaking about a lot and that I've heard a lot about is career growth. Of course, people who enter organizations are not just interested in performing extremely well in the position that they are starting in, but also in how to progress their careers. And oftentimes, unfortunately, people work in organizations where this path is not immediately outlined. So this is where you yourself have to take some responsibility to understand what should your career growth look like and how can you make it possible. And this is exactly what today's webinar is going to be about. So you might have different reasons why you're here today. One of them might be that you are not clear about what your next step is going to be, or that you feel that you are being held back from taking the next step in your career. Obviously, there are always two different dynamics. One is the one that is about yourself. Is there something that is actually holding you back from taking the next step? Or is it something outside of you, something external that is holding you back? Understanding this will be the first step to actually make some progress. And this is what I'm trying to achieve together with you today, so that you can leave this session with clarity and the first actionable steps to take. So what we will cover today is, first of all, how you can actually get clear on what you want. That might sound so simple, right? Probably everybody has some sort of idea where you want to end up in your career, what you want to achieve within the next couple of years. But if we're very honest with ourselves, oftentimes it's the day-to-day craziness, this absolute chaos from waking up in the morning, getting through all of the routines that we have to get through until we actually arrive at work. May it be in the office or may it be at our office desk at home. And then we sit down and we immediately start with all those things that we need to get done at work. Our emails, the tasks that we have, messages that are coming through. And suddenly, the entire workday has already passed. But do we actually have the clarity on what we have achieved throughout the day? And do we have the clarity of what we want to achieve during this week, during this month, or even during this year? Most of us don't even have the opportunity to take a step back and to get that clarity. We are just getting up, we are rushing through whatever is being presented to us, we are working through our to-do lists, and that's it. It's not a big surprise that many of us actually don't even know where exactly they want to get next to and how to get there. So this is the first point that we are going to cover today. And then the second one is how you can build a strategy that matches the goal that you will have set for yourself. Because obviously having a goal is a great thing, but we need to start acting towards it. So the strategy is the second part. And then the third part is to create the habits that we need in order to make that strategy work. Again, a strategy shows us what we need to do, but then we also need to have the motivation to do it, we need to have the skills to do it, we need to have the ability to do it. And this is where our habits come in. And then lastly, I will show you what all else we can do together to actually get you to reach the goal that you set for yourself. And part of that is a little growth challenge that we will all go through together today. All right, so let's get into part one, which is getting clear on what you want. There are a couple of, let's call them common career stagnation traps. So there are a few reasons that might hold us back from actually make the progression we want to make. The first one is a lack of direction. This could be, for example, that you are in a position, let's say for a good amount of time now, more than a year, more than 2 years, probably even more than 5 years, and nobody ever presented to you what your career growth plan could look like. HR didn't present anything to you, your boss didn't present anything to you. And so in the end, you actually don't know where this is all going to lead to. The second trap could be that you are waiting for recognition. Obviously, we are all trying our best when we are at work, and we're doing this because we want to receive recognition, right? We want to get a tap on the shoulder. Ideally, we want to get a pay raise for the hard work that we're doing, or at least we want to get some recognition in terms of, okay, you know what, you did this so great, I'm going to give you a bigger project next time. Or you've done so well, now you can lead the team through this next big project that we have. Something like this. But unfortunately, recognition doesn't always come by itself. And you will have to put yourself out there to really show and prove the value of what you are delivering every day. And this is directly connected to a fear of visibility that some of us have. Some of us simply don't want to stand in the foreground. We don't want to be on the stage and to be seen by everybody, because it probably doesn't relate to the values that we have. But unfortunately, being seen and being visible is a part of receiving that recognition. And ultimately, it is a part of getting that promotion or that pay raise that we want to get. So when we're talking about this very first important step, it's how to gain clarity. First of all, we need a vision, right? Everybody knows what a vision is. It is something that we want to achieve, not immediately now, but let's say in a year from now, in 3 years from now, maybe in 5 years from now. And it is something that is usually rather far away from our status quo. So let's say I built my consultancy company this year, and my vision is to be the #1 consultancy for human-centric workplaces in the GCC and beyond in 5 years from now. Wow, okay, that sounds big, right? This is a really, really great vision to have. And it's obviously something that I cannot achieve tomorrow or in a week or in a month from now. So that requires a lot of work, a lot of effort, and let's be very frank, a lot of resilience and patience. So what am I going to do with my vision if I really want this to become true and not just to stay my vision forever? I have to break it down into goals. And now maybe some of you have read this amazing book by James Collins, where he talks about big, hairy, audacious goals, which sound a little bit intimidating, but that is not what we want to do. When we talk about goals, they shouldn't be intimidating, they shouldn't be big and hairy, but they should be very tangible. And ideally, they should be rather small to start with, because the beauty of goals is that you can stack them up. You can achieve one goal, you can achieve the second goal and the third one and the fourth one, and they will ultimately all lead you to achieve that vision that you have set for yourself. So once we have the vision, break it down into small goals. Goals also are usually not attainable within a day or a week. So let's break down the goals and make it even more, let's say, attractive for us to reach. And now we are at the level of milestones. So let's take a personal example. Let's say our vision is to be able to run a marathon in a year from now. Okay, that sounds great. At the moment though, I'm not even able to run 5 kilometers in one go. So saying just from right now until a year from now, without any actual goals, I'm going to run 40 kilometers is quite unrealistic. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say, okay, in a year it's 40 kilometers, but in a month from now, I want to be able to run, let's say, 7 kilometers. And a month later, it's going to be 10 kilometers, and so on and so forth. So when I am now at 5 kilometers, my milestones to reach the goal of 7 kilometers will be 5.5, 6, 6.5, and 7. So now suddenly, I'm not talking about being able to run 33 kilometers more in one go. Now I'm talking about running 500 meters more, one step at a time. That sounds good, right? It sounds a lot more attainable and a lot more realistic. And this is exactly the same that you need to do when it comes to your career progression. Break it down into many small steps that are actually realistic so that you can also achieve them. So let's take a quick exercise here to make it more tangible for your particular situation right now. Imagine it's 2 years from now. What role will you be in 2 years from now? If you have it, take a piece of paper and a pen, write it down, or take a note on your smartphone or on any other device if you like. Imagine which role you're going to be in 2 years from now. What skills are you known for in 2 years from now? Which skills do you want to get better at? Which skills do you want to gain for yourself within the next 2 years? Take a moment and just think about it. Some of you might actually get this question for the first time because it's not a usual question. We don't just sit down and we ask ourselves, which skills do I want to have in 2 years from now? But you will now experience that this is directly related to the role that you're going to be in 2 years from now, right? Unless it is the role that you are already in right now, most likely the skills will change a little bit. Once you have answered for yourself which skills you will be known for, you immediately get an idea of what you want to learn within the next 2 years. And once you've understood which skills you want to have in 2 years, the last question is, what kind of impact do you want to have? Is it a different impact from the one that you have today? Are you going to impact more people than you are today? Or different people from today? Are you going to have impact maybe in a different area from today? But these 3 questions, they are really, really useful for you to start to get an understanding of where you really want to be and what this actually does entail. It's not just about a specific job title that you want to have in 2 years, because there's a lot more to it. When you have a specific job title, there are specific expectations towards you, and there are also expectations that you have. And these expectations are directly related to the skills and to the impact that you're going to have. So now that you are aware of where you want to be in the next 2 years, you can get started to actually define the milestones. Let's say that having this position, having gained these skills, wanting to make that impact are your goals. So you write that down as your goals. And now we are thinking about the milestones. What do you need to build those skills? Is it a specific training that you want to take? Is it speaking to someone to become your mentor? Is it that you want to do research about something? Is it that you want to join a particular group and learn from them? There are so many ways how we can actually learn new skills. So one of your milestones really includes to understand how you want to acquire that skill. And then please add to this a realistic plan of how you want to include that into your time. So saying, I want to learn a new language, for example, again, is a great milestone, but we also need to break it down as precisely as saying, I am going to learn 100 new words every week, and my learning window is in the mornings from 7:30 to 8 a.m. while I'm having my morning coffee. Something like this. The more precise you actually are in defining your milestones and the actions that are leading to reaching the milestones, the more realistic it is going to be that you're actually going to do it. Because when you are thinking about it, when you are thinking about the actual act of having your morning coffee and going through, for example, your Spanish vocabulary at that time, the more you imagine it, the more realistic it becomes for you because you are picturing yourself doing that actual activity. So think about some short-term goals, some milestones that you can take and define in order to reach that bigger goal that you want to reach in 2 years from now. Because when we are talking about short-term goals, they are obviously leading up to your long-term goals. And once you've reached your long-term goals, you can again think about the next goals that you want to reach after this. Everything we're discussing here is already very much related to habits. This is about you creating the habit of really becoming clear of what you want and starting to act towards it. So when your long-term goal is to land a leadership role, for example, your short-term goals should all be defined in a way that they are directly leading you to landing that leadership role in 2 years from now. So this is now obviously leading us directly to the strategy. So how can you build your career strategy? Because if you fail to plan, you plan to stay put. I really, really like this quote because it just puts it in such an obvious way. If we don't do anything, we just stay where we are. If we are happy where we are, of course, then it's fine and we don't need to change anything. But if we don't want to stay where we are, well, we have to start doing something about this. So strategy is very much dependent on your internal motivation, your intentional action. It is all about you really wanting to achieve something, and this is directly related to your mindset. Marshall Goldsmith is a very renowned coach from the United States, and he wrote a very, very popular book quite some time ago, actually. I think it was in the 1990s. And his book is called What Got You Here Won't Get You There, which is brilliant because it really describes that whatever got us to where we are right now is probably not enough to make the next step, because otherwise we would already be on the next level. We would already be in that leadership position. So what is it that we need to change in order to get from here to there? First of all, we really need to understand what is our current mindset. For example, is our mindset completely focused on growing? Is it a mindset of learning? Is it a mindset of constantly wanting to do better, to improve? Or, if we are very, very frank with ourselves, is it rather a mindset of comfort? We are okay where we are right now. We are doing good. We are having the paycheck at the end of the month. We feel quite safe in the job that we do. We like our colleagues and everything is fine. So that's the first thing where we really have to be very open and honest with ourselves. Do we have an attitude that actually allows us to push for more? Or do we have to change our attitude and probably challenge ourselves, really push ourselves to say, okay, if I'm very honest with myself, if I'm going to keep behaving the way that I do right now, I might not get that promotion. So check in with yourself, reflect on that, and understand where you might have to make some changes when it comes to your mindset. So this leads you to understanding what would be the focus areas of the change that you want to bring in. Is it, for example, a better time management? If you start work in the morning and you feel completely overwhelmed because your inbox is full, you received another 80 emails just overnight, your calendar is already back to back with meetings, and you already don't know when you are supposed to, for example, just go and get a coffee, let alone sit down for lunch. Then one of your focus areas could be, how am I going to manage my time better? Starting with looking at the different tasks that you have. Are all of those really necessary today? Do I really have to attend all of those meetings? Or is there a meeting where I don't have to be present? If they need my input, I'm happy to contribute outside the meeting, for example, with an email, or they send me the summary and I comment on it. But I won't have to sit there for 60 minutes. Or is there a task that I could actually delegate to somebody else in my team? Or maybe there's a task that is not that urgent today and I can push it to the end of the week. This could be things that you could consider when it comes to time management, which could be one of your focus areas. Another focus area, for example, could be your energy management. When you arrive at work in the morning and you already feel exhausted, try to find out how you can put some energy boosters, include some energy boosters into your daily agenda. So for example, try to go out and get some fresh air between 11 a.m. and 11:15. just to boost your energy and to actually also refresh your brain. That could be an option. Or change your nutrition, change your sleep rhythm. There are so many things that are directly related to energy management. That could be a very good, interesting focus area for you as well. And then the last one really is intentional actions. It is all about being very aware of what you are doing. Instead of just getting into the flow with all of your emails and doing this, sending one out after the next, be very intentional about, for example, the emails that you want to answer first, or the emails that can wait until tomorrow. Think about the things that you want to do and think about how you can create the biggest value. Right now for yourself, but ultimately also for the stakeholders that you want to influence in order to, for example, get that promotion. So there are 3 different levers that really drive growth. One is obviously skills, we've talked about that. And then the second one is visibility. So be out there and ask yourself very honestly, what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for the one accountant that really can give the best advice? Do you want to be known for the most creative ideas? Do you want to be known for being the one that always gives advice to everyone who needs something from you? Or do you want to be known for the one who can send the most amazing presentations with the biggest amount of detail in them? Ask yourself what you want to be known for, and then very consciously work towards that. That could be a focus area as well, if we think of the last step we just discussed. And then the last bit, and this is very, very important, that's your credibility. Especially if you want to grow in your career, you need to be a very credible and reliable persona in your organization. People need to know that what you say is factual, that what you talk about absolutely has substance. People need to know that when they ask you for something, that you are going to deliver on time and in a great quality. You need to make sure that people really do know, oh, okay, if she promises this, I know that she will follow through. So credibility is very, very important. And this is also important for you to actually reflect on for a moment, because when you want to be very credible, you also need to have the time to follow through with those requests, for example, which brings you back to time management. Credibility isn't something that should overwhelm you, but it is something that you need to be able to make space for in your daily doing. So again, since this is about you and not about me, this is for you to reflect on these 3 levers for yourself. So take a look at skills, visibility, and credibility and ask yourself, which lever is your weak spot? Maybe it's none of them. Maybe it's 2 of them. Maybe it's 3 of them. The most important part is that you look at this and you're being honest to yourself. Because when you look at career growth, it's all about your own development. It's about being honest to yourself and admitting, okay, I need to do this, I need to improve here, and this is where I need to get better at. So which one is it for you? All right, now when you have identified which lever or levers it is or are for you, you can directly connect these levers with a specific goal that will help you to get to that promotion or to that pay raise. So for example, when it is skills, you could say, my communication skills actually aren't that great. For example, one of my clients, he said he wants to become a leader. He wants to step up in the hierarchy. And he has realized that much is dependent on his ability to deliver presentations, both inside the organization in front of senior leadership, but also outside of the organization, on events, for example. And he was coming to me and he said he is very well aware that his presentation skills aren't good. He actually had quite severe stage fright. So his hands would start to shake, he would be sweating, he had the feeling that he would be blushing, and then he would forget all about what he wanted to say when he was on stage. And so I started to work with him on this, and we really started to investigate, okay, what is it that is leading him to have these physical signs? And we understood soon enough that most of the time it's really just a lack of preparation. For him, he wanted to have 100% confidence that he could answer any question that would come from the audience, specifically senior leadership. He wanted to have the confidence that he could know or would know everything about the topic, and that he would only get so nervous if there was a slight doubt in his mind that he might not know something. And this is what we started to work on. So our work really focused on how to get him prepared, including asking his stakeholders what they would be interested in hearing during that presentation, understanding what would be the best format to deliver that presentation, understanding the bigger picture, which other topics might be related and questions might come up to this. So he did put in a lot of time into his preparation, and then he did hold another presentation, and he said he already did much better. And he could feel this extreme increase of self-confidence solely because he was better prepared. So again, it's really only about understanding yourself, reflecting on why you don't feel confident, why you feel that this skill, for example, isn't strong enough, and then starting exactly there. So if you say you feel that your communication skills aren't strong enough, well, then this would be what you could start on. Then for visibility, it's to present at team meetings, for example. So if you say, okay, I want to become more visible, I want people to see me, I want people to know that I'm really good at what I'm doing, you could say, my platform is going to be holding monthly team meetings. I'm going to be standing up there and I'm going to hold the presentations. Fantastic. Also here, be prepared and know what you want to talk about. And then the third one, if you say, well, my weak spot is credibility, then try to understand, what can I do to improve my credibility? What can I do to work on it? And one idea could be to, for example, finish the project even 1 week early. Send a signal to your boss and say, I was so dedicated, this was so important to me, I finished it 1 week early. I didn't wait until the deadline actually approached, but here you go. This is my result of my project for you. So just to sum this up for you, really, when you identified what you want to do, you set a goal, for example, to get promoted to manager. Your lever would be visibility, and the first step would be to speak up in team meetings, for example. And you can go through this little exercise with different goals that you have, with the different levers that you want to improve, and then define a first step. Once you've reached that first step, talk about the second step. So this directly leads us into creating habits that stick. And there is the guru of habits by the name of James Clear, who wrote an amazing book, which is called Atomic Habits. So if you want to hear or find out more about habits, this would definitely be a great book to start with. And he has some amazing ideas, really, that we are partially going to talk about in the next couple of minutes as well. So first of all, why do habits actually matter? Well, obviously, habits are the baseline of everything that we do. Most of us have so many habits that we're not even really consciously aware of. So I can tell you one funny instance from the other day. I usually wear the Apple Watch. And for those of you who know Apple Watches, they have a small wheel on the side, but you usually have to tap the Apple Watch once to activate the display. So I was wearing the Apple Watch for months in a row. I never took it off. And then my husband gave me a beautiful watch, this one here, which is not an Apple Watch. It's analog. So the first few days I put this watch on, I caught myself tapping onto the watch, simply because I was so used to doing that from wearing the Apple Watch. So this is an example for an unconscious habit, something that we do without actually teaching ourselves consciously to do that. Being aware of those habits is not always easy, but it's doable, like in this case with me catching myself tapping my watch without any reason. So when you look at your habits, you can look at your unconscious habits, but you can also look at your conscious habits. And the main question really is, look at your goals, which habits will help you to achieve those goals and which habits won't. When you have habits that won't help you achieve those goals, try to let go of them. When, on the other hand, you say, actually, there would be a habit that would help me achieve my goal. For example, you would say, I want to start learning something new every week, or let's say every day. You could start with building a habit of just reading an interesting book or listening to a good audiobook for 5 minutes a day. That's the important part about building habits. Start very small. Just like the example we had earlier with running 500 meters more over the course of some time, instead of saying 33 kilometers at once. Start with very small increments. Get used to those and then increase those increments. Learn 5 minutes in a row, increase that to 10, maybe even increase it to 15. Now, we don't want to increase it to 4 hours a day. That's not realistic. That doesn't make sense. But increase it to a certain level where you say, okay, this is great, and now this habit really helps me to reach my goal. And there is a habit formula. Now, this, for example, has been created by James Clear, and it's brilliant because it describes very nicely for you how you can actually build a habit. So there's a coup. Let's say this is a meeting is over. So this is, let's say, the trigger for you to do something. Now, the coup leads you to build a routine. In this particular example, the routine would be to write a 2-line recap immediately after the meeting is over. So let's say the meeting ends, it's an online meeting, you immediately send those 2 lines and you are sharing them with your colleagues, you're sharing it with your boss, or you're just keeping it to yourself for your documentation. But the reward that you get out of this new routine is, for example, to feel organized. So you have built a habit that is triggered by a specific event. You are adding a behavior to it and you are being rewarded with a feeling or an outcome that is useful or good for you. So when we look at habits, really just become aware of the fact that very small bits and pieces can have a fantastic outcome as long as you stick to it. Daily, weekly, and monthly. So have habits where you do something every day. Have another habit where, for example, you do something every week, like sharing your insights with your team members, and have a habit that you do monthly. For example, to update your manager on progress. So let's take a look at the next steps. Now you have understood that, first of all, you need clarity, understanding what you want to achieve, how to get there, what to do. You are building a strategy for yourself. And once you've understood your strategy, you are doing what is called a habit inventory, understanding whether you have the habits that will help you live through that strategy and achieve your goal, or if you need to build new habits that will help you to get there. This is your growth blueprint. And now here is your growth challenge. Pick one habit to implement this week. One habit that will help you to ultimately achieve that goal that you were thinking about earlier in this webinar. And share this habit with a peer or a mentor, because the next very important ingredient, especially if it's a habit that is far away from your usual routines, if you get an accountability partner, somebody who is holding you accountable to actually really create that habit, then it's far more likely for you to really do this and to achieve that goal of creating that habit. I created a course for you, which is going to help you a lot more to achieve your goals. In this course, we are going to spend 12 weeks together. It's going to be one session, 1 hour per week, and you get to have 2 one-on-one sessions coaching with me where we are going through your personal challenges, where we are understanding, okay, what can help you the most, and we can build a roadmap to success for you. And in this course, you will be learning different, let's say, concepts and frameworks. First of all, about mindset. We are going to learn how the brain actually works. What is the reptilian brain? What is the logical brain? How are they connected? And how does that actually lead to the biases and blind spots and stereotypes that we have? We are then going to learn a lot more about self-awareness, emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence, and we are going to understand how does all of this, again, have an impact on the habits that we have? And then we are really going to deep dive into habit creation, habit inventory, building a vision and goals and milestones for you, so that by the end of this course, you are in full control of everything that you want to do to achieve this next big goal that you have. So because these are live sessions and because it's very important for me that everybody really learns as much as possible in these courses, I am minimizing the number of participants to 5. So I am starting the next course in May with 5 participants. And if you're interested in joining me, I would be very, very happy to welcome you in the next MAP cohort. So this course is for you if you feel that you are doing well, but you want to achieve more, if you are not sure how to achieve the next big step, or if you also would like to gain more self-awareness, when you know that there is something more that you can learn about yourself and how you can really leverage the skills and capabilities that you have. So by the end of the program, you will make faster and better decisions. You will communicate with influence. You will actually be able to create followership within your organization. You will earn the trust of leadership, make yourself visible, and increase your credibility. And you will develop a leadership style that will inspire the people that you are going to lead. So if you're not sure if this program would be for you, I am more than happy to meet you in person or online for a 30-minute conversation, and then we can talk through the plans that you have for yourself or the questions that you have. So if you have any other questions, I would be more than happy to hear from you, and I am very, very much looking forward to welcoming you to the next MAP live cohort in May this year. So we have some comments. Would you share something on psychometric assessment? Thank you for that question, Jason. I do not work with psychometric assessments for this course in particular, and I'm explaining to you why. So psychometric assessments, of course, are something that give us a direction to understand how we think, how we behave, and also how we appear towards others. However, psychometric assessments really only are capturing the moment. So if you are considering that you are taking a psychometric assessment on a day where you are super energetic and you are happy and everything is great, then this will certainly have an influence on the answers that you're giving to the questions. So the profile that you will receive after this psychometric assessment will also be rather positive, and it will give you the idea how you are, let's say, going through life with this very happy circumstance that you entered the assessment with. If you are, however, having a psychometric assessment on a day where your energy is low, you probably just had a fight with a colleague or something else went wrong on the way to work, you will give different answers to this psychometric assessment. And for that reason, the report that you get out of it will also be very different. My problem with these reports really is that when you read them, you hold them as true. So you are basically being biased, and you think that because this is your result, that this would be the person that you are. And I think in a way that this is limiting. So this is the reason why I'm not working with psychometric assessments. I prefer to really walk you through self-awareness by really understanding self-reflection, by going with you through different questions, for example, that help you to really understand why you are thinking the way you do, why you are behaving the way that you do, because that is either in the context of you being in a good mood or you being in a bad mood, or it can be in a general context, so that you get a more generalistic idea of who you are and why you do the things that you do, and they are not limited to the results that you get from a psychometric assessment. I hope that that makes sense for you. You're welcome. All right. Then what's the best way to self-analyze our habits? That's a great question. Thank you for that. So the first thing that is very, very helpful, and I also did that some time ago, is that when you have time, let's say on an evening, and you are done with all your daily duties, You take a piece of paper and a pen, or you can take your cell phone or anything else, and you are reflecting on the day. You start with the very moment that you open your eyes, and you are asking yourself, how did I actually get up this morning? Was it because I just felt that I was energized enough and I didn't need to sleep more? I didn't need an alarm to wake me up? Was it that there was an alarm ringing and then I immediately got up? Was it that there was an alarm ringing and I hit the snooze button 3 times? Because all of those are already habits. So write that down. Write down how you get up in the morning. And then recall, what is the first thing you do after you get up? Do you have your running shoes next to the bed so you get straight into your running shoes and you go out for a run? Or do you go downstairs and you have a coffee and you read a newspaper? All of these are habits as well. So you go through this, through your day, step by step, and then you are analyzing what are your habits. And there might be some things that might really surprise you because they are more in the subconscious area. So when you are reflecting, you can ask yourself, oh, is this actually a habit that I want to keep? Or do I want to build that habit of having my running shoes right next to my bed so that I get up and run? That sounds great. Maybe I want to do that habit instead. And so this is how you can start to understand what your habits are, to understand which habits you want to keep, and to understand which habits you might not want to keep, or which habits you want to start building. All right. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Then thank you all very much, and I am looking forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful day.